Hello and welcome to BoostBusters Gas Exchange and Charging courses. This specific course is one of the anecdotes, one of the milestones in my career, which I'm very, very proud of. And it would be a great joy to share with you the learning from this happening in my career. It's definitely kind of application of the course I'm trying to convey to you in the more theoretical parts of the course. Back in, I would say 2013, 2014, when I was employed in Volvo AB Group, it was decided to build a land speed record truck within an organization. This was a highly unofficial project, and in order to find competence in the organization, the project management has to go very high up in the organization. And at the end, the team doing this project was people coming from all over the place. It was Volvo buses, Volvo construction equipment, Volvo powertrain, of course, Volvo Penta people. I was picked to do the gas exchange study through one-dimensional simulations during my time in Volvo AB, working as a global manager. And here I want to share you a little bit about the gas exchange challenges encountered in this project for some hopefully great learnings. The engine was the usual inline six-cylinder engine for trucks and buses with a swept volume of 13 liters. Normally this engine has a rated speed of 1800 RPM and different power levels, but about 500 horsepower is what you could expect from such an engine. In order to come close to 300 kilometers per hour for the land speed record truck, we estimated that we needed a power around 2,400 or maybe a little bit more. And in order to do that, we needed to increase the peak speed of the engine. But for different reasons, there was a limit. We didn't want to exceed 3,000 RPM. So the rest of the power increase would need to be taken from increased torque. Creating power is a lot about burning enough fuel inside the engine, as you know from the other courses. Fuel is normally not the problem since it's needed at a much less mass rate and it has a lot more density than air. So squeezing enough air into the engine is the real challenge, and especially for compression ignited CI engines, since they appreciate to have some level of air excess, not to create too much particles and soot. The D13 engine have a peak volumetric efficiency around 92-95% at 1800 RPM. One of my challenges as the gas exchange simulation guy was to look for opportunities to at least try to keep that volumetric efficiency up to approximately 3000 RPM. If the gas exchanger is free to choose, he or she would definitely appreciate larger valves, larger diameter valves. But since we expected the cylinder peak pressure also to increase, the recommendation from base engine department was keep the valves if possible. And I was looking on three-dimensional structure simulations. how the valves are behaving in the base engine with a peak pressure of around 220 bars. And they are really pumping around like, well, like mushrooms maybe. So it was very easy to understand that the base engine organization wanted to keep the original valves. So what to do? Well, my proposal was to expand the duration of both inlet cams and exhaust cam and letting them come together in a larger valve overlap and utilize that additional time area per swept volume to maintain the high volumetric efficiency at rated speed around 3000 RPM. To let the engine start breathing earlier in the intake period is complicated because you need to clean the exhaust side, clean in the pressure point of view. We definitely don't want any compression waves from other cylinders to be present. And in order to do this, my proposal was to take away the original twin scroll single turbocharger system and replace it with a parallel turbocharger system with two separated turbochargers. Doing that, the interaction between the two free cylinder groups diminish and becomes zero. And it becomes much more possible to utilize the earlier part of the intake period during valve overlap. So this was the first step, how one turbo became two turbos. All right, achieving 6,000 Newton meters is not easily done by a single stage turbocharger system. We needed a boost pressure well beyond pressure ratio 4. And in order to do that and maintain efficiency from both compressors and turbines, my recommendation was to go for a dual stage, a serial turbocharger system. So the first two turbochargers already described, they were in place, and we wanted a second stage, a low pressure stage. And mathematically, I would have been fine with one big low pressure turbocharger. But the purchasing department was not, because the single low pressure turbocharger was so big, so we would need to go to someone doing turbochargers for big locomotives. So it was decided to also on the low pressure stage go with two parallel turbochargers, and now we are up in 4 turbochargers. Okay, it's a great privilege for a person like me to be trusted to do in simulations like this when the bill for one set of turbochargers was in the order of 25,000 euros. So I was really nervous before the first engine dyno results was available, since my model was absolutely not calibrated on this high power level. The model was based on the 500 horsepower stock engine, so okay, part of the model was to be trusted, but a lot of the other stuff was something which just happened in my hands. So I was so released and happy when the results came from the dyno team, and they were actually producing more power than I expected. So having said this, simulations is when they are carried out in a good enough way, it could be really an asset in extreme projects where you go from maybe a very low power rating and take a significant step upward as a guide. Before leaving you, I would recommend you to use this link to one of the movies around Iron Knight, and some of my colleagues and Boye who did the real work, making this become real. As always, if you have any questions in this subject, please don't hesitate to contact me through email at lennartsander@boostbusters.com. Thank you very much for your kind attention.